Welcome to the Trap House Podcast. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe on all social media platforms. And now a quick word about our sponsors. We have Duke Traps with us. Check out duketraps.com. They manufacture over 40 different models of cage traps, coil and long springs, and body gripping style traps, as well as one of my personal favorites, the powder-coated dog proofs. Check out duketraps.com. Need a place to sell your fur? Check out Groenwald Fur and Wool Company. Over 50 years in the fur business, the largest and most experienced direct receiver of wild fur in the world. Check out their website, gfwco.com. Top Lot Stretcher Company. They have all the fur processing tools you need to get the job done in the fur shed. From push pins to wooden stretchers, they got you covered. Check out toplotstretcherco.com. And this one's for the ladies that don't mind getting their hands a little dirty setting some traps. We have Trapping Girl Inc. with us. Check out their website, trappinggirlinc.com. They have a great selection of women's apparel, kids apparel, baits and lures, and trapping supplies. Check out trappinggirlinc.com. J3 Outdoors. They make American trapping products designed for maximum trapline efficiency with products like the Hags Bracket and Spring Clip, as well as the Universal Lock and Beaver Rod ends. Get the tools you need to get the job done. Find out more at j3o.com. And there's only one true way to start out the day on the trap line, and that's with a hot cup of coffee from Trapline Coffee. They have great tasting blends to choose from, as well as chocolates. Head over to traplinecoffee.com for more. Weeby Knives. Check out weebyknives.com. They have a great selection of skinning knives, fleshing knives, fur handling tools, and they'll give you the edge you need to get the job done, and you guessed it, they're wicked sharp. Check out weebyknives.com. And we'd like to welcome the newest sponsor to the team, No BS Lures. Don't let the name fool you. There's more than just bait and lure. This company offers trapline tools and hardware, fur handling supplies, and the No BS traps. Check out nobslures.com. And last but not least, Hoosier Trapper Supply, home of the Top Dog Predator Bait, Jet Fuel Predator Lure. We offer a complete line of trapping baits and lures, deer scent, trapline tools and hardware, fur processing tools, and special package offers. Head over to HoosierTrapperSupply.com. All right, welcome back to the Trap House Podcast. We have a special guest today.
We do.
Megan Lockwood's with us. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. We know of you from past several seasons, and but there's a lot of people that might not know that follow this channel. So,
right.
Thanks for being on.
I guess in a way, Megan, people became aware of you over the past few months.
Yeah, over the last few months.
Unfortunately, so
yeah, more aware. I hope.
Yeah. So we'd like to talk a little bit about trapping. Some of your the business you started, a removal service, and then you had an accident that Charlie mentioned, and a lot of people took notice to that online. You got a lot of people chipping in to help, and
oh heck yeah.
But yeah, could you just start from the top? How'd you get into this whole outdoor world and then into the trapping world?
So I started when I was about 9 years old. My mom got me enrolled into shooting sports through 4-H, and I started there. And I started archery. My mom didn't let me shoot a shotgun or anything firearm wise, so she got me enrolled in archery, and I took off from there. And my passion for bow hunting grew at the age of 15 when my mom finally let me go out hunting. She always said, "How are you going to go out and actually harvest a deer?" And I was like, "Just watch me." And I think I sat a couple times in the first week of bow season, and I killed a nice little 5-point. I took it home, and she was like, "Now what are you going to do with it?" And so processed it, and that's all she wrote there. I got into trapping through shooting sports. It was my shooting sport instructor who brought some traps along one night. It was trapping season. It was a winter league, and he had some animals caught, some raccoons, some possums, I think a fox in there. And I was just kind of in the backdrop listening to him talk to all the other kids that are in shooting sports with me, and I just kind of listened. I went home. I said, "Mom, I want to trap." And she was like, "You gotta you got to start learning on how to do it. You're not just going to go out there and do it. So I started reading books. And because at that time I was elementary school, it was dial-up internet. The internet was nothing like it is today. No forums to go out and look at and that kind of thing. So I just went to the public library, rented some books, started reading. My mom got me 6 traps. I started live trapping around the farm, like the raccoons, the possums that were in our feed rooms and that kind of thing. And then the footholds came along. I remember the exact spot where I caught my first raccoon. It was a double. I caught it on both sides of the road. I lived up in Michigan at the time, and that seriously just set the hook right there. I went to dispatch the first raccoon. She jumped up. I was in the catch circle. She grabbed my leg. I kicked her off and took care of the business. I still remember she weighed 23 pounds. I can take you to the very exact spot.
Yeah.
So over the years, the passions just grew. I kind of stopped trapping a little bit when I was in college. I had 2 kids. My sophomore year of college and junior year in college, and graduated with a 1.5-year-old and a 6-month-old. My kids have the same birthday, just a year apart.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So a lot on my plate at that point. I moved back from Kalamazoo, Michigan, back to the Port Huron area. I started water trapping in 2012. So I moved back in 2011 and then just started doing my same old back in my old stomping grounds, and picked up water trapping. And once I started water trapping, anybody who asked me, I'd rather water trap than land trap. And I was in Michigan up until 2018. I was a travel nurse at that point, and had a couple clients that had specialists down in Cincinnati, and they would hire me privately. I'd come down and stay with them for a couple months at a time, and fell in love with the Cincinnati area. The weather is beautiful, a lot better than cold, bitter Michigan, where I'm from. And
Yeah.
luckily, I met Jonathan in 2018, and we started our nuisance business in 2019. I was burned out of the medical field. He worked for Department of Agriculture in Ohio. He was topped out. We just kind of were like at that null and void where you're like, what do we do? Do we stay in one spot and kind of stay stuck, or do we try to venture and do something new? And we combined our two worlds, the trapping knowledge that I had and the plant pest control and like the pest control side of things that he did for the state. He did that all over the nation, actually. And we combined the two, and now we have a nuisance wildlife company / pest control. We do rodents and extermination too, but I would say we do more wildlife than extermination because we're kind of picky. We don't do like bed bugs or a lot of wood boring insects or anything like termites, but we mostly do wildlife, and that's what led to my accident in August. I was removing squirrels and slipped off a roof. So yeah. Yeah.
That's quite the journey.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I didn't know all this about you.
Yeah.
There's
There's
cool. Where were you born at?
I was born in Port Huron, Michigan. So
Okay.
I'm born and raised in Michigan. My family are beef farmers, and we come from a farming ag family, and we just did some nuisance control around the farm, and that was it, like raccoons, getting in the grain bins. I don't come from a heritage of trapping or hunting. I come from a farming family that was beef cattle. There's our food right there. My family didn't have to go out and hunt. Now I have uncles and great uncles, my grandpa's brothers, who hunt, but everything that I pretty much know now, it was just kind of self-taught, threw myself into it, had a passion for it at a young age, and I've gone this way. And my mom tells everybody, I don't know where she came from. She's not like the rest of us. And I don't want to be like the rest of them. I'm just me. So
I think you're honest.
So you broke them all.
yeah, I broke the mold. So yeah.
So do you remember when you were the first books you were reading? Do you remember who wrote those?
Everybody always asks me, and I need to get them I have a storage still at home in Michigan, because it's hard to move all your stuff here to
Right.
Ohio. And I don't have them all off the top of my head, but I know I have the Master Trapper book, but I just recently got that one. I know I have one from Mark Stackhouse from a long, long time ago. So when I finally met him after I moved to Ohio and become a member, an active member of OSTA, and finally met some of these people, I was like, oh, this is cool, you know? So yeah. And when I first started water trapping, Jeff Dunlap, he was one person that he is from Michigan. I was from Michigan. I wanted to catch the muskrats like he was catching, and I kind of I followed him around a little bit, go to Everett and go to the different places that he was to pick his brain a little bit. But other than that, I don't have all the books that I used to have, but yeah.
So in Mark's stack, a weirdo.
Yeah, I love him though. He's
he is a great guy and the dry sense of humor and
oh yeah. When we were in South Dakota, I volunteered for the dunk tank, and him and Tim Ackerman and a couple of the Ohio guys were walking by. I was like, come on, you old geezers, knock me in. No, none of them could. They said next year they'll get me. So yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. You just publicly called him a weirdo, and if he sees this, he's gonna just laugh and love it.
We did a show with him a number of years ago where we went up and ran around with him in South Dakota.
Oh yeah.
And some guy put on there. He goes, I just like it when you guys are by yourself. That guy was just too weird. And we've mentioned this before. We told Mark that, and he's like, he was really proud of that. He's just he appreciates being not like everyone else. So.
Yeah, not a cookie cutter.
Yeah,
I think all us trappers are just a little weird.
Oh, I think so. I think so.
I got in the truck today to go vote, and the truck smelled like skunk. There hasn't been a skunk in that truck whatsoever for a while because I can't really do too much, but it smelled like a skunk. It just is a nice warm day. The windows were all rolled up, and it was like, oh, trapping season,
Yeah, that stuff is definitely sticks around.
Yeah, definitely.
And warm, damp weather normally makes it a little more noticeable. So
yeah.
I don't know so many of my clothes I just finally gave up and had to throw away, and ruining washers and dryers and
Oh yeah, I know. There's certain clothes come trapping season that I just continuously wear because why ruin something else when you can just keep wearing that. So
yeah.
So when you were catching your first raccoons, were you selling them then, or were you keeping them, or?
I was selling them green actually at that point, and because it was my first ones, and I just didn't know really what to do at that point, and I was trying to scrape the small ones because I knew the big ones were worth more. So I was trying to scrape the small ones, and not having somebody in the fur shed with me to teach me, I would scrape and then take my big green ones and the ones that I would, put up myself and go to the fur buyer at that point. And it was hard at that point because I was just a little girl. You know what I mean? I didn't have the knowledge that I know today. Was he taking advantage of me at that point? Maybe. I don't know, because I just didn't have the knowledge. Probably because what I know now. And of course, skills have grown over the years, but I think I was pretty good. Like when I look at pictures of me with my raccoons and stuff that I put up then, I'm like, I was pretty good at that. And looking at old receipts, it's like, I don't know. But I didn't have anybody to take me there that had the knowledge to be like, Megan, sway me a different way.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends on the buyer. Some of them will, probably take advantage of a circumstance, and some of them will, and some will go the other way.
Right.
And treat you probably better than the adult man that may come in next.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. I've seen both sides of things, just being a woman in the industry, not just trapping, but in the hunting industry and outdoor industry. Sometimes we're not taken as serious. And, sometimes it feels like what we're talking about or our opinions or our input just is like right over somebody else's head, and they turn and go talk to somebody else that might matter a little bit. But it's definitely getting better and increasingly getting better throughout the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the 70s when I was,
Right.
getting started, and I remember a few women that would go with either their
Right.
dad, in some
Yeah.
cases maybe husbands or grandpas.
Right.
As far as a woman just taking off on her own initiative, it was,
Yeah.
I don't remember one.
Yeah.
And that's kind of come all about. Maybe in the 90s, maybe that
Yeah.
started,
Yeah, definitely. I think it's coming a full circle
Mhm.
around. And it just goes with like the improvements in um just today's age. Women can do just as much. It's just how everything is changing. And, there's a lot of women that look at trapping, because I host women's classes, and I get a lot of women that come that are just trying to get a new skill to provide security of their own homestead. Like they have a flock of chickens that they've raised from a tiny chick, and a raccoon came in and killed their favorite hen, and they come to my class so that they can control that,
Right.
control their pets situation. And I always tell them, well, let's secure your coop first, and then we'll worry about the animals, because if we can secure it, you don't have to trap the animals until they become a problem again. So we try to base our whole women's classes off of that too. And the women that come who have never done this before, who have never even thought about trapping any time prior before seeing the flyer, it's just crazy. When I hosted my Indiana one that you guys donated some stuff to, uh, a lot of those women had, I think there were two girls there that had trapped previously, like followed their boyfriend around, or had a little bit of knowledge. And then everybody else, there was 11 girls total, so 9 of the 11 had never even handled a trap whatsoever.
Mhm.
And that's pretty cool. So we're seeing it just come around that more women want to do things too that just get them more active outside and open their eyes to a little bit more,
Right.
being stuck in the house all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool. And I like the fact that people are taking more of initiative to like learn these skills,
Right.
On their own,
Right.
not having generations of history with it.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and that's pretty important because, some of that generational stuff has already been lost.
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah, it's taking the initiative is going to be really key for this whole thing to keep going. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Like I lost my grandpa when he was 63. So there was at least 20 plus years left of knowledge to learn from him as a young adult that I didn't get to learn from.
Right.
And so I can totally understand that, coming from a family that just, doesn't do what I do, but there was still stuff I could have learned from my elders that meant the most.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I was fortunate in that respect because my dad was not an outdoorsman. He was very supportive of all this, but my grandpa would like to hunt and fish. He was
Yeah.
a farmer, and he'd just trap stuff for control around the farm.
Right.
Sweet corn patch or chickens.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But his just like this practical approach and this practical knowledge that he had from just being around it, his whole
Right.
life. It was just, kind of invaluable just to have that
Yeah.
available. And fortunately, he lived till he was 85. So I did have
Oh,
some,
that's awesome.
I was older when I was in my 20s when he died. So
definitely.
I was fortunate in that respect. So,
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
but yeah, it's, and I remember when, we used to sell some more mainline hunting goods back in the 90s. And of course, since then we've gotten out of that. But I remember that was kind of the thing, was like women was, it's still a smaller percentage, but it was
Oh,
still
yeah,
the
definitely.
fastest growing segment in the outdoor industry.
Right. Right.
So and that's definitely continued. And you know, we got women that come in on their own that are buying deer scent. You know, they're
bear hunts.
all of whatever. So which is pretty cool. So
I tell all my friends, I'm like, you need to get their deer scents. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, they really do work. I can attest to that last year, definitely.
Well, you killed an awesome deer last year.
Yeah, thanks for putting me on your cover.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, like before I got my issue, I had a couple friends text me and they were like, Megan, you made the cover of Hoosiers catalog. And I was like, oh, sweet. And then I saw that it was the picture of me with my deer. And then Jonathan and I laughed when I got the cover or my catalog. Like he caught his very first beavers this year and he's got the picture with the beavers. And then, you know, he's more of the deer hunter. I'm more of the trapper. And our pictures are just me with my deer and him with the beavers. I thought that was so ironic.
You know, that's funny because we went through them and Jake, my son, and well, all three of us, we kind of went through and picked out, and that was like purely coincidental.
Yeah,
that it ended up that way because it was kind of like, I mean, obviously we knew who you were, but it just ended up that you both made the cover. So
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
But your deer sense, like I don't usually hunt over corn or anything like that. And with Indiana, we hunt Indiana, but you know, you can't bait there. So you need something. But I took your sense with me up to the farm I hunted last year. I had never set foot on that property and made mock scrapes with your sense and killed my buck on the third day I hunted. So
awesome.
And I, of course, had trail cameras out the first day. I put them out and, you know, put some mock scrapes, and here he came. And I was like, well, that's a shooter buck. I'll kill him.
Yeah.
And it worked.
And it worked out.
I tagged out in about 5 days, I think.
Yeah.
I hunted only 5 days, tagged out in 5 days.
That was in Indiana or in Ohio?
That was Ohio.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't killed an Indiana buck in a couple years. So.
Okay.
And I probably won't be doing much of that this year either. So.
Are you going to be able to hunt it all this year?
So we have a crossbow. I'm such a bow hunter that to me, I'm just like, I don't want to kill one with a crossbow.
I knew this was coming.
It's not something that I'm just ready to accept. Like, I want to get better enough to where I don't need to use a crossbow.
Yeah.
But I have shot it. And I can, it's a 10-point with the AccuDraw, so I can crank it back and, you know, cock the crossbow myself. I can't hold it up offhand, so I have to use a tripod. And so I'd be in a blind. And I just haven't had the gumption to actually get out there and try it. I've been walking unassisted for about 5 weeks. I started walking unassisted with no walker, anything about the 5-week mark after my accident. And so I can walk. I have no restrictions anymore. I don't need a cane or anything. By the evening hours, I get pretty sore and pretty stiff that, you know, it's time for some ibuprofen and probably just a rest for the evening. So, you know, I'm kind of iffy about the whole hunting thing right now. Maybe late season. It's the rut now. So maybe I'm blowing smoke up my own, you know, self. So to try to make myself feel a little bit better, because I said, Megan, don't rush your recovery. Right. You know, I don't want to be long-term disabled, you know.
Right.
If I can push through one season of not hunting or trapping, then that will be better for me long-term. But it's been really, really hard. Mentally, really, really hard. You know, seeing friends out there, you know, harvesting, seeing friends out there trapping. Like when I first got hurt, I thought, you know, seeing all that stuff would be really cool and I'd be really happy for them. And don't get me wrong, I am really happy for them. It's just really hard to be, you know, I feel good enough to where I'm like, I can do that. But physically limit wise, I know I can't do it.
Right.
And it's the mental thing more than the physical thing, even though the physical thing is there. Like I can't swing a hammer, guys. You know, I can't pound anything in the ground or set a 330 or anything like that right now. So
it's all, yeah, you're sitting on the sidelines watching everybody else have a
Yeah.
good time, and you shouldn't be.
Yeah. And that's the thing is my accident happened on August 30th. The couple weeks prior to that, Jonathan's getting ready to go out pronghorn hunting, bow hunting, and then elk hunting archery. And I was getting ready to go to Maine to trap a bear. My bear trapping experience I would have got out there on the 7th of September. And anyone real close to me knows that trip, like I didn't care if I harvested anything this year. All I wanted to do was go to Maine to trap a bear. I've wanted to do that for a couple years now. And I think when I got hurt, when I fell off the roof, I got to the ER and I talked to Jonathan on the ground when I was laying on the concrete. And he had just got to Colorado. He had harvested his pronghorn. He had just pulled into the town before going up the mountain. If I would have fallen off the mount or off the roof half hour later, he would have been up the mountain. He wouldn't have gotten the call that I had fallen off or anything. And he just turned around in the car, came back home, and I was laying in the emergency room. They had set my arms and they had done all the imaging, and I kind of had an idea of what was going on with me. And we were talking on the phone, and I said, "You think I can still go to Maine to trap a bear?" And he was like, "Megan, no, you're not going to Maine to trap a bear." And I was like, "Yeah, but I think I can do it." I'm like, "I think if I can just get there, I can still do it." He's like, "You're not going." He's like, "We'll get it figured out so that you can do it next year." And like, out of all the things, I was prepping my traps. I was getting everything organized and ready for trapping season. And I think that's the biggest thing that bothers me the most after the accident is not being able to trap anything. I can get over the fact that I'm not able to pull my bow back and I'm not able to harvest a deer or whatever it may be, but it's the fact that I can't actually go out and run any kind of line, which is a total bummer.
Yeah.
But
I
know long term
out there with you and trap
I
right here,
know.
buddy.
I made him go to I didn't make him. We both went to our beaver lottery draws and I still put in for it. I was like, you know what? If my name gets drawn and we get the lake that we trapped last year, I was like, Jonathan's my partner and I'll just be out there. You got to sit here, you got to sit there. But little kid, he actually got it. It's his second year of trapping, so I wasn't too salty about it. Yeah. I was like, I gave the father my information. I said, if you have any questions, I know the lake by the back of my hand. And like, we caught a bunch of beaver out of there last year. And if you need me to even come out and walk with you, I'll show you where to trap. But no call yet. No call yet. I'll let them figure it out. I'll check in with them a couple times during the season. So
yeah. How high was this roof? Was it, and kind of what happened exactly? Did you fall off the ladder or just like
no?
How did
it like Superman dove off the roof? But again, so we'll start from the very beginning. That week I had my little brother here. It was his last week of summer vacation. He had a break in football seasons, and I had been telling him all week or all summer long, you can come over to my house. It's a 5-hour drive because they still live in Michigan. So he's at my house. That Thursday, we went and did the squirrel assessment. I had my 11-year-old brother on that roof with me. Like, okay, that's me saying I was confident on that roof. I knew that if I'm up there, he can be up there. I can show him little things because he is so interested in what I do for work. And I wouldn't have put him on a dangerous roof. So then Friday we get there to get it all set up, and it's the last job of the day. And Ian and I are going to go catfishing. He's looking forward to it all day long. And we climb up there, and Ian decided he didn't want to go out there that day. His tummy was hurting. And I was like, okay, if I need something, can you just get out of that truck for me? I'll come down, get it, blah, 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 blah. And I had my friend Derek working with me because of course Jonathan's out of town. So Derek's on the roof with me, and I'm doing one soffit dormer, he's doing the other. We're just doing the repairs so that the squirrel doesn't bypass the trap and actually gets caught where we want it to get caught at. And he's working away, I'm working away. Everything's fine. It's nice and sunny, a little clouds come in. And then all of a sudden it starts to sprinkle, but not like heavy sprinkle, just like a couple drips here and there. And so I just come down off the shingles, and there was a 3-foot section of rubber flat roof with a little decline to the gutter. And that was still dry. So I get my phone out, I check to see the weather, and I'm like, okay, we got a little storm patch coming through. I go over to the other side. I tell Derek, I'm like, if it starts to sprinkle, we have to get down. I'm like, we can finish it. It's just a tiny, tiny patch. I go back up onto my pitch hopper, and I'm working away, and it starts to sprinkle some big drops, and I come to climb down. I said, Derek, I'm getting down. My feet hit that rubber roof, which was still what I thought was dry. I could see the wet spots from the raindrops, but it wasn't saturated with water or anything. And as soon as my boots hit that rubber roof, I just turned into a slip and slide. I stayed on my feet and just slid right to the gutter. I looked down, the concrete sidewalk, the grass, the concrete steps going up to the porch were right below me. Split second thinking, I just used my legs, pushed a little bit harder off the gutter line, and yelled, I'm going off, all at the same time. As fast as it happened, it just felt so slow too. And in the midst, I'm looking at my little brother who's on the ground, 10 feet from where I'm going to land. And I'm just thinking, you gotta land a certain way so that you're still here, you know what I mean? So as I fall, I just kind of fall off like that. And, I put my hands down and caught myself, and thank God I did catch myself because I would have hit my face first. So I caught myself, exploded my wrist. Then my face hit my cheekbone. My face is still numb on this side. It's pretty cool though. When I take a cold drink of water or cold drink of soda, my whole side of my face goes cold. It's a weird sensation, but it's kind of cool. And then my legs and my lower body hit the concrete. And so I broke my iliac, which is the top of your pelvis. I broke my pubic bone and my tailbone. I broke another part of my pelvis. I broke my femur at the hip socket, and instead like breaking it horizontally on the bone, I broke it vertically going down the bone. So I have a titanium rod now forever in my leg. And I broke a couple bones in my foot. So I had a total of 9 fractures. The foot, I say 8 fractures because the foot, I knew something wasn't right there, but it was the least of my worries. But when I hit the concrete, I landed on my face, I rolled over on my back, and I just started talking to my little brother. I never lost consciousness. When Derek climbed down the ladder, he comes over. I said, Derek, do I still have my teeth? And I just smiled up at him, and he's like, yeah, Megan, you still have your teeth. And we both started laughing, and I just tried to stay as positive. I knew I was in a horrible situation. Like, I'm looking at my wrist, and my wrist is a way that you would never want to see your wrist be. And I knew the other one was bad too. The paramedics came. I was only laying there for about 12 minutes, close to the hospital. Paramedics was laying there for about 3 minutes. They came, scooped me off the concrete, put me in the ambulance. I was to the hospital within 12, 15 minutes. And they started doing all kinds of stuff to me, and taking pictures and CAT scans and MRIs and all kinds of different things. they of course tell me the worst case scenarios, I have 2 plates in my wrist, and if you know anything about anatomy of your arms and your wrist, there's 2 bones that run. In my radius, I have a plate on both that go from like the middle of my forearm up to my pointer finger. And of course, when they tell you the worst case scenario is that they'll never come out. And hopefully that's not the case. I'll find out tomorrow. My doctor's appointment is tomorrow. It was supposed to be 2 weeks ago and it was postponed. So I'm 10 weeks on Friday post-accident. So hopefully I get some answers about getting some plates out of my arms, and then I can have some normalcy a little bit more. I don't know what's going on out there. And then I have a couple more breaks in my wrist that when my leg doctor was looking at them, he was like, I'm going to make some notes in here and see what your surgeon has to say and ask some questions when you're there on the 6th. So hopefully the positive would be that he tells me everything looks great. We'll schedule your surgery to get your plates out, and we'll start, your healing process and get you into some rehab and some outpatient therapy. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly.
And I could do a lot with my hands. There's things that, of course, are a lot worse.
So your first time, I think you said the first time you actually got out of the house since the accident was at our rendezvous, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
You were in the wheelchair? Is that when you got the hat, I'm assuming?
Yeah. I was like, oh, I need that hat. And Jonathan got one too, but his already has a flat ring. He wears it all the time. And mine still had the sticker on it today because I don't really do too much. But I did get to go on a groundhog job today and tried to do it by myself. And I took some 220s, but she has 2 little dogs, and little dogs just kept poking around in the groundhog holes. And I said, that's not gonna be good. So I'm going back there tomorrow and taking some cage traps, and I'll get to set that one by myself. So it's my first job back 10 weeks later.
Yeah.
I can't really do much. I can't lift. I can't swing a hammer, like I said, but I can set some cage traps.
Yeah. So you're gonna go there by yourself, or you're gonna have a helper with you?
I'll have Jonathan drive me. I'm not cleared to drive yet.
Okay.
So tomorrow at the doctor's, I'm going to be asking about that because it's just driving me crazy not to be able to just hop in the car and go to the gas station or go around the block or whatever you want to do. You can't do anything.
I'd be the same way. I'd be going stir crazy.
Yeah. But on the other hand, if something happened while you're driving, that's like, it's
even more.
That's what the doctor said.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I tried to get cleared when I went to the leg doctor, and he was like, I'm not clearing you. He's like, you need to see your arm surgeon before I'll clear you for that.
Yeah.
So
whatever.
A couple more weeks, I guess. So
but it was good, and I was surprised to see back at the rendezvous, whatever date that was. I'm forgetting. 26th or something. So especially and it was kind of a crazy day because we were just like in this window of decent dry weather amongst of all the downpours. And
I had told Jonathan, I said, I'm going. I was like, I cannot not go. I'm like, being stuck. The whole month of September got messed up, because I got hurt.
Right.
Jonathan had to come home. He had to work while I was in the hospital and in rehab and all of that. And then, I didn't get to go trap bear. I didn't get to go out to Colorado because I planned to go archery hunting after Maine. We were both flying back to Colorado, and it was like, I have to get out and do something normal. You can go to doctor's appointments, but that's not normal. You can go to rehab, PT appointments, but that's not normal. It's just like, there's no normalcy right now. I couldn't shower by myself, get dressed by myself, for a while, couldn't feed myself. It was like, I need to get out and do something. And your rendezvous is right there. And I was like, we're going. Whether I need to be pushed around or wear a trash bag or a poncho, we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were scheduled to do a demo, and obviously couldn't do that. But next year, if you want it, you're in.
I'm game. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Definitely. I'll work on something special. So yeah, cool.
That's great. That's amazing. You seem to be doing much better, obviously. I mean, it seems like a lifetime to you, I'm sure, but in 10 weeks, considering what happened, you seem to be doing really good. So.
Oh yeah. And the trapping community and the other people I know through the outdoor community, like Women of the Wild and everybody else who put that online auction for me and Jonathan, because that helped out tremendously. Like I can say I didn't have medical insurance, and as a small business owner, we definitely have looked into medical insurance for future things, and hopefully we never have to use it. Did I think I was invincible? Not necessarily. I knew the dangers. It's not like I was doing anything unsafe. It was an accident, and the accidents just happen. But like, to have the love and the outreach and just people calling and checking in on me. And I know I've been really private in the last 10 weeks, and it's just because it's so overwhelming for me to go from go to you got to put the brakes on. Right. You can't do anything. And I think it was definitely a sign from God that I was probably moving a little too fast, and I had a lot on my plate. And this has definitely set me back a little bit. But then at the same time, it's also let me reflect on the most important things in my life and the most important things that I should be doing for a trapping community, for the outdoor industry, and just, kind of chill out and not put so many irons in so many fires. And it's been a hard lesson to learn, but I definitely think that was one of the lessons I was needing to learn.
Yeah. I think it's an understatement too to say that all circumstances, you're pretty fortunate to be sitting here.
100%. And a lot of people tell me that, and it's like, I know. Trust me, I worked in the medical field for 16 years. I've worked in emergency departments. I've worked in different situations where I've seen some extreme traumas of, like I had on August 30th. Like, I've seen the bad and the good, and I am first to say that it's probably a miracle that I'm here. It's probably a miracle that I'm not paralyzed. I might have blown my wrist apart completely, but at the same time, like, I can still wrap my arms around my kids.
Yeah.
Where, if I wouldn't have fallen the way I did, then I might not be able to do that. So the little setbacks that I have, like not being able to put my hair in my own ponytail, or, the little things that I take advantage of before the injury, it's like, those don't even matter anymore. It's it's definitely put the important things in perspective for me.
Yeah.
How tall was the roof again? Was it just single story?
14 feet. It was a double story, and I was working on the second story dormer, but the part of the roof that I fell off of was 14 foot. I had a 16-foot ladder extended all the way out. And there were 2 rungs above the gutter line. So I say about 14 feet.
Yeah.
And I'm 5'2",
so 14 foot. He fell during a job, and he hit his head, and he didn't make it.
You had a friend?
No, my uncle.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was on scaffolding, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was working, doing construction work, and he fell, and on the way down, he kind of hit one of the bars that was on all the braces, and it flipped him over, and he landed on his head, and they couldn't keep the swelling down and all that, and eventually, just didn't make it. But it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It happened like that, accidents all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And it happened, like, I always try to reconcile what actually happened, and like, did I make a mistake? My mistake probably was that those first set of sprinkles, just not taking the time to like actually get down and just wait it out. If I could sit back and say that's the only mistake I made, then I guess I'm okay with that, because I've worked through those sprinkles before, where that patch of whatever's coming through, it drops a little bit of sprinkle and you're just fine. Like, I've been on steeper pitch roofs in more rain than that, you know what I mean? And it was just like, why did it happen? Am I glad that it happened? You know, physically, no, but mentally, emotionally, yeah. And it's definitely been hard for me to like loosen up the reins on the work. You know, I'm a control freak and I like to have a schedule, and I'm not able to go out and actually do work. So I just kind of have to let Jonathan, my business partner, my partner in life, just kind of maneuver through it and help him along the way and try to do what I can. But there's not much I can do. I can't type on the computer right now. You know, I can use my iPad and use my pencil, but that's pretty much what I got going on. I can ride in the truck. I make a good passenger princess. You know, that's about what I can do right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Did you get your bear trapping trip rescheduled?
Yeah, we did. The guide that we are using, I met him at the Deer and Turkey Show up in Columbus. It's not called the Deer and Turkey Show anymore, but that's what originally it was called. And I walked around because I scored deer for the Big Buck Club of Ohio. And I walked around that whole convention in the spring and went to every single main guide who was hosting or advertised bear stuff. And I was like, you trap bear? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, well, see you later. And then I go to the next one. You trap bear? No, we don't do that. Or you can, the one said, yes, we can do that, but you have to bring all the equipment. Well, you know, trapping bear up there is a totally different game. You know, you bait them prior and
right,
that kind of thing. And I found one guide service there that was like, yeah, we have everything. You know, we run dogs, or we trap bear, we hunt bear over bait, like we do everything for bear up there. And I was like, sign me up.
Yeah.
And I handed them the money right then and there. I was like, I'm coming this September, and then this happened. So we got it scheduled for next September, the first week of September.
Okay. Good deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Total bummer. But
well,
I have my bear trap.
Yeah. I was saying it the other day. I was like, that was always on my bucket list. And then when they took the actual foot traps away, you know,
yeah,
it kind of, it's something I would still do, still like,
right.
But it did kind of take the wind out of my sails when you can't use like a double long spring, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a number 5 or whatever. So
right. I have the what is it? Critter Gone Trap by Wes Osborne. And I drove to Pennsylvania's convention just to get that trap this summer. Just and talked his ear off about bear trapping, and you know, he talked my ear off about bear trapping, and he was like, Megan, I want you to send me all the pictures that you get of your bear. And you know, I did all my prep to that trap before, you know, just getting it ready. And yeah, I sent all the information of that trap over to the guide because they use a different style trap. And I was like, I'm using this trap, like, and he was like, okay, you just have to carry it out. There's no way in heck I could carry it right now. So, and the season's closed, of course, but by next year, I definitely will be, I'll be out there digging my trap into the ground and hopefully catch a big bruin or something.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever get a chance to talk to, you know, Mike Masur by chance from Iowa?
Yeah.
You might talk to him about bear trapping too.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, he was like control end of bear work in the Pacific Northwest. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're one of my favorite things to hunt. Bears are, and you know, I've seen all different because I've hunted Idaho, and they have so many color phase bears out there. And my first bear was a blonde that had like a cinnamon face and a black butt, so all 3 colors, and she's pretty cool. And I just am obsessed with bears, so it's still on the list, and hopefully Maine doesn't try to outlaw it, and I can get it done in September because I'm looking forward to that trip.
Yeah, yeah. Are they trying to up there, or is it pretty
No,
quiet?
no,
Okay.
I'm just saying, you know how it is.
Oh
Right,
in the
yeah,
right.
trucking
stuff pops
community.
up all the time.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
just randomly
Yeah.
somebody will say, "Yeah, no
Yeah.
more," and it will be like, "Oh, red flag."
Yeah.
Something cool. I know you guys have advertised like the 127 out in Colorado
Mhm.
or the Cougar and Bobcat.
Right.
Jonathan was out there for second rifle season, and we have hunted Colorado together, him and I, since 2018. Him prior, it was like 8 years of him out there, and I've been out there since 2011 hunting,
Mhm.
and never ever seen a mountain lion. This past rifle season, he just got back yesterday. He actually had a mountain lion 100 yards from him, prowling on him.
That's pretty
And
neat,
yeah,
I guess.
I know, and I'm just like, man, that's awesome. And I'm
Yeah.
just
Did you
sitting
get some
at home
pictures and
like,
stuff?
no, he didn't take any pictures
Oh,
of it.
then we don't
I
believe.
know. It didn't
didn't
even
happen.
happen. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I will say that if they're not successful,
Right.
they did everything they could do. I think that
Mhm.
was like full-blown campaign on
Yep.
behalf of outdoorsmen,
Yep.
support from all the organizations. I mean, and I think ultimately, I'd like to think that they will be successful, but
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
yeah. I mean, they lost trapping rights in 1985 before it was really a thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And it's crazy. Like, have you guys ever been to Colorado? Like,
yeah.
just going through national and seeing the amount of beaver that is on national ground, and it's just like, gosh, I wish I could get in there.
I know.
And in South Dakota, I had a woman who actually is a USDA trapper for Colorado, and she came up to me, and she does a lot of their beaver work. So when there's nuisance beavers, they live catch them. And then there's like a governmental program or something. She said that when they want to reclaim some land to the original with the work of beavers, then she just goes and captures nuisance ones and plugs it in that she has a male or a female or whatever the statistics go along with that beaver, and she goes and drops it off at the new location, and they just fill the quota that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I would definitely do that.
Yeah.
I'd definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you being on and sharing your story and everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Good one.
Yeah. Catching everybody up. Like, I know people wondered about you, were concerned about you. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do it. And I know I've been private. It's just mentally, a mental struggle of trying to figure out the new way of life right now, and hopefully my life falls back a little at a time like it was pre-accident.
Right. Right.
We had just gone muskie fishing for the first time down in Kentucky, and I was hooked. I was like, I'm going down there all fall, when the muskie are doing their thing. And then I fell off the roof, and I can't really cast a fishing pole right now.
Right. Well, I think muskie, they say that's a fish of 1,000 casts.
Yeah, but Jonathan and I went down for just a weekend, and it was like 2 days we were there, and he hooked into a 3-foot one. And he got a picture of it, so I know he's not fibbing. But I was around the bend, and he reeled it all the way up to the boat, and it just flopped off.
Yeah.
And we had only been there 2 days, and I was like, well, 1,000 casts or 10,000 casts, I guess it's wrong. Of course, I only had one chase my lure twice, and then it decided it didn't look tasty enough, I guess.
Yeah. When I was a kid, we went and I caught 3 in a week. And the guy I was with, who happens to be our neighbor here from the shop, he caught 6, but none of them were legal, and that was in Wisconsin.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You and Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just started getting into fishing a little bit more this year. So we got new kayaks, and that's what I was going to be trapping out of. Instead, my sit-in kayak this year, I got a nice sit on top kayak that's like 13 foot. My little 8-foot sit-in kayak last year, I had that thing loaded down, and my friend Doug Lee was like, Megan, you better have a life jacket on. And I was like, it's in the boat. It's in the boat. So
Which kayak did you end up with?
I got the SHESide X133. It's by Bass Pro Shops. So I love that thing. We have trolling motors for them and everything, and you just burn and go.
So that's okay. So cool. So you are not a purist in the idea of the kayak.
Oh, I used to be.
With the trolling motor.
I used to be before I got the trolling motor, and now that I don't have to push that giant barge through the water.
Yeah.
I'm never going back.
I don't blame you at all.
I had a Jackson Coosa. I loved it, but I just quit going. I wasn't going as much, but after more and more developments of all the different rigs that were coming out and people were flying by with little motors on them, like, man, that's what I need if I'm going to do this.
Sometimes the idea of being a purist is just an excuse for not producing.
Right.
Yeah, I've been a traditional bow hunter my entire life.
I've never killed a deer, but
I'm a professional traditional bow hunter. I never killed a deer with it.
That's what I say.
It's harder, the guys. You got to understand.
I'm a professional elk enthusiast that hikes with a bow, is what I say.
Yeah.
So,
That's great.
I got to tell you quick, when we were about there muskie fishing, like I said, and I haven't, to be honest, I haven't really been back since in muskie waters because we've been to Canada fishing. But there weren't muskie there. But there was an old guy that we ran into. We camped, and he was probably in his late 70s, and he had an old pickup truck that he had built like a camper on the back of it, that he actually built, and he had this old boat. And that guy was a muskie fishing. That was his deal. I mean, that was his life. And he had, I just remember this guy, and he had all these great stories, and he was all by himself, and he was fishing that same lake that we were on. And, of course I'm sure he's long gone at this point, but it was just cool because, somebody like that, I don't know that you would ever run into nowadays. You know what I mean? It's just, they're just not around anymore. And, I just happened to think of him while we were sitting here talking about that. It was just a very pretty cool guy. And I remember him being, for his age, he was more spry than I was as far as jumping in the boat.
Oh man.
Because I'm not that coordinated.
You want to think about all the fish stories he has,
Oh my gosh, yeah. And he'd talk about, his biggest one, whatever.
Right.
30 some pounds, 40 pounds, whatever, that really high end,
just a tank.
Yeah. And anyways, it was just an interesting person, so.
Well, when we were in Kentucky muskie fishing, so here's a secret about me. I like fishing. I just have never been real big into fishing, even though I grew up on the lake, like pond fishing, bluegill. If I'm catching 1,000 bluegill, I'm pumped, but if I have to sit there and not catch anything, I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
But this year, getting the kayak and starting to fish more, I handled my own catfish for the very first time this year, because I always was told that they electrocute you, which I found out this year that that's a total lie, that they do sting, but it's because they're barbs. But when we went down muskie fishing, I had it was a pretty good size one chasing my lure. And as it's chasing it, in my mind, I'm like, Megan, you're scared to touch a catfish. Like, what are you going to do with this fish with all these teeth? And then it turned around and went back into the weeds, and it cast back out, and it chases it again. I'm like, Megan, if you catch this thing, you don't even know what you're going to do with it. So just keep reeling. And I didn't catch it, but I was like, I need to learn how to actually handle the fish before I catch one. But I'll be watching YouTube videos up until I get better.
I will tell you, back when we used to do skin mounts on fish, the northern pike, walleyes, I think we did one muskie. Most people that catch muskies, that's like a sin to kill it or keep it or whatever, But Even on those fish like that, the teeth will get you.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
And that's the thing. I don't know how many walleye I've caught in my day. Like, I grew up on Lake Huron up in Michigan. So the St. Clair River, the walleye run, all those sharp teeth. We used to have a 12-foot John boat, or not John boat, but V bottom boat. We take out on the big river to walleye fish. And I'm just thinking that muskie's going to tear my hand right off if I grab it wrong, So,
yeah,
but whatever.
yet to be determined.
Yeah, I didn't know what I would do, but I was gonna figure it out real quick. So, yeah.
That's all.
Well, I thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah,
We
you.
more than appreciate it, and it sure is good to see you where you're at. So
Yeah,
appreciate
definitely.
that. So,
I feel better.
good.
Feel
And
better
thank you
from
for
the
everything
last
you're
time you
doing
saw
for
me.
the
Yeah.
outdoor trapping world.
Yeah, we need to
and
mention
for the girls.
I mean, you work the NTA
SHESide.
SHESide
Mhm.
and the educational things that you do
Yep.
Here at home.
Yep.
So yeah,
With the trapline training and stuff. So,
yeah.
and that's gonna keep going. We were gonna have our first Ohio class the 4th and the 5th of October, but I had just fallen off a roof. I couldn't get out there to do it, so we had to cancel that one. So hopefully next year Ohio will have its first one. We've tried for 2 years in a row and it just has not happened. So, but Indiana is happening again in January.
Okay, good.
Hopefully that I'm better by then.
Yeah.
I can instruct. I might not be able. That's when I have Jonathan, put this in the ground. He knows enough to do it. So,
Yeah.
definitely.
Good deal.
Well,
Cool.
we appreciate all that support and all that, and you reach an audience that we can't reach.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
in a way, so
Yeah.
that's a very good thing. So
Yeah, definitely. And I try to send everybody to you guys for anything. I'm like, Hoosiers. Like they've put orders out on their porch for me to pick up early in the morning when I've dropped the ball and like not prepared to get stuff. You guys are always going above and beyond. So I appreciate you guys too.
yeah, we appreciate that too. So
Yeah. Cool.
Well, we'll see you later then.
Okay.
Take
Thanks
care,
for
Megan.
having me.